Hello everyone, it's me, Ewan from What Culture, joined as ever by Josh Brown to talk to you today about some Batman news, because it's been forever since we've had an update on Matt Reeves as the Batman. You know, slated to release 2021, and which is, oh my god, that's next year.
That's next year.
But we haven't really had much news recently, and we've been kind of getting, you know, just come on, Matt, just give us a little bit of something, please, Mr. Reeves. And finally, lo and behold, he took to Twitter yesterday to upload a video to Vimeo, which is
of all things, yeah.
no slight against Vimeo, but
probably would have got copyright claimed on YouTube, is all I'm saying.
Exactly, yeah. But he released a video on Vimeo of our Pats in the bat suit for the very first time, and looking at it is a bit like peering into a very tiny hole, and you're trying to just make out every what. You just about make out what's going on.
Well, fortunately, you and I saw the screen grabs on Twitter, which were, I guess, slightly brightened, because when I went back and watched the video to hear that gorgeous score, which we'll get to, I couldn't make anything out, but I do think it looks very good, very moody, and it got me very excited. It was a great way to start my Friday morning, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the way home back from watching Parasite yesterday at the Tyneside Cinema, and it was complete. I was there underneath the little sparkly bitch, and I watched it. I was like, "What? I can't see anything." But yeah, it is really cool. And there's a whole bunch of details that we're going to get into in a second, and one of the biggest is that the bat symbol on this new bat suit actually looks as though it's been composed of the handgun that murders the Waynes, and this was pointed out on Twitter yesterday. And this actually has some source in the comics. I actually brought in the comic that it's from because I'm that much of a mega nerd. It's from Detective Comics 1000, a short story written by Kevin Smith with art from Jim Lee, and it basically involves the reveal that when Batman had the old yellow crescent symbol, he melted down the gun that killed his parents and changed that into the armor plating that goes underneath the yellow symbol, because in the whole methodology for him having the yellow symbol in the modern age is retconned so that it was like, it's a bullseye. So you're drawing the most gunfire towards the brightest part of the bat suit. So that actually is a really cool detail that I feel as though must have been added on rather late, because this came out in 2019.
Well,
so.
yeah, because when I saw the tweet or whatever that was saying that that's how the symbol was, you know, composed from that weapon, I was a bit confused because I didn't know whether that was a new thing they'd thought up or whether it had precedent in the comics. And I do love, I wish we had the yellow around it. That's just me as a Batman fan, because even without that awesome as all hell retcon explanation that it is a bullseye, it just looks very suave.
The bit of yellow in the bat suit I'm always here for. My favorite bat suit, I think, is the Batman Incorporated suit that came out like in 2010, 2011, which was designed by Yannick Paquette, and it was just really, really cool. And I always feel as though the bat suit's missing something when it doesn't have some yellow in it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm looking at this, you know, this bat suit right now, and the way they've kind of disassembled the firearm, it's in a very literal way. You know, in the comics, he literally just smelts it down and turns it into armor. But this, he's literally got like the different parts of the handgun just there chilling on his chest, just being like, I'm not going to be able to mature past being 8 years old.
Well, right. Here's the thing. I'm not entirely certain I like this. I like the. I almost died from being excited there about the Batman. I can't say anything negative about it, otherwise my body just shuts down. I'm not worried, but I'm split, because I love the thin, long bat symbol itself. However, it being an actual gun part, because it looks like essentially the grip of the handgun, the central part of it. To me, I trust in Matt Reeves. I trust in Robert Pattinson. It feels a little bit on the kind of grimmer, realistic, gritty side of, you know, what I didn't like about Ben Affleck's Batman. And I hope it's not kind of, I don't know, it's very, for me, on the nose, even if it is thematically rich.
Yes, I think that's an interesting point you've raised there, because Reeves actually, one of my big fears going into it, I was afraid, you know, I've not been a big fan of the way the DCEU portrayed Batman up until, you know, hopefully up until how it will be the next year. But I do remember Reeves taking to Twitter and basically saying these are all the different books that I'm reading to get inspired for writing this film, and one of them was Batman Ego, which is a big kind of introspective look at Batman by Darwin Cook. You can go check out a video on What Culture Comics, which I talk about it. It's really, really good. And, you know, the whole thing there is the Batman's psychology and looking past the trauma of what happened when, you know, his parents were murdered. And I feel as though that gives me, you know, that assuages any fears that I have, because it's more a case I know that he's tackling the source material from that kind of same introspective angle, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Reeves is a great director, and I don't think he would just throw something like this in as a kind of, you know, edgy, really not controversial thing, but it certainly grabs headlines, doesn't it? It certainly is a striking thing. You look at Batman's suit and you look that it's literally made from the gun that killed his parents, and I assume that he's going to go deeper into it. I want to see Batman's psyche properly explored, and I think that he's got a great actor to do that with. Essentially, I'm completely sold on Robert Pattinson. I always was, but finally, The Lighthouse made its way over to the shores of the UK earlier last month, and Ewan. Your mind's gonna be blown because he's so intense, and I know this movie, because it's the Batman, and everyone loves to make the Batman an intense filming experience. Everyone loves to jump in on the dark side of the character. I think Pattinson is the perfect person to, really get that underlying almost volatility of the character,
Because he mentioned in an interview with Variety last September, I believe, that he was basically modelling his Batman voice on Willem Dafoe's kind of voice in the White House.
Interesting.
So I'm interested to see how that goes. I don't know how that bears on anything because I haven't actually seen the film yet. But what do you actually think about the costume in general, aside from just the symbol? Because I'm looking at it and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Arkham Origins Batsuit from the video game from like 2013, where you have the different armor panels with straps together. I'm always more of a traditional Batman fan. I like it when it's less armory and less militaristic, but I do think it looks well for the angle they're going for, and they've balanced the armor elements with a slightly more kind of old-fashioned cowl, which I'm here for.
Yeah, it's not. If I thought about my perfect on-screen Batman costume, it wouldn't be this. And yet, I'm really taken by the few glimpses that we've seen so far. I do agree that usually when it comes to my Batman, I don't prefer the bulky armor-heavy, high-tech version of the suit. I like something a bit more traditional, a bit sleeker.
Bit on the animated series.
The animated series, but I do think this seems to have, blended the two quite well. It is obviously built and very mechanical, but it seems to, at least from the chest plate, it has the sleekness that I want out of the costume. And I do love the collar. I'm going to give you that. I'm not sure about the actual cowl in the ears, but the collar itself, it looks great. And that jawline, man.
I
don't just want to make this entire video of me, swooning over Robert Pattinson, although that is apt considering it is Valentine's Day. But when you just see something and you just think that's right. They've got it. Just seeing the silhouette made me feel like that.
Gotham citizens will also be doing the exact same thing, being like, why does Batman have Bruce Wayne's jawline? It's so identifiable.
Well, that's it. You cannot tell me that in this universe, Bruce Wayne is not all over the big magazines, and every single one of them is definitely swooning over that, chiseled jawline.
Basically, maybe they'll do a thing where it's like, we've got a new jawline kind of rival in town. I don't know. But this wasn't the only bit of Batman news that dropped yesterday, because Jeffrey Wright took to Twitter as well. He quote tweeted Matt Reeves' original tweet with what appears to be an image of the bat signal. Now, it doesn't actually have the bat symbol on the bat signal, so it can't be the bat signal yet. It is just basically at this point a floodlight. We know that they're filming in London, to do different, bits of, basic as a stat, to make it Gotham. But it is, it looks as though this is going to be the symbol that eventually does get the. So I'm wondering if they're going to be doing a bit of a retread from Batman Begins, where they haven't got it on yet. Of course, it could just be a normal floodlight. Gotham has loads of floodlights.
That is true.
It has more than any other city, I'm willing to wager.
Maybe he'll throw a goon on there.
Exactly.
That will be the floodlight.
Wow, that would be a really original idea.
Batman Begins.
Yeah.
This is, it's difficult when you're coming into a new Batman movie, especially when we've seen so many Batman movies, so many movies with Batman in beforehand. In all of the beats need to be talked about and shown off. So we see the cape and cowl. We know that it's going to heavily involve the murder of his parents. We know about the bat signal. It makes sense for a studio to front load all of those, instantly recognizable symbols and that iconography. And yet, we joked about it before we came in. How many times cinematically can we see Batman's parents die and Batman go through the grief of it? Because don't get me wrong, it is a dramatic, well of creative possibility, and it is so resonant. But we've had a lot of Batman beforehand, and when it comes to a new movie, are we just getting the best version of a story we've already seen, or are we going to get something new? I know it's kind of, reductive to pontificate on that point, having not seen much, but...
No, I think it's basically that bit from The Simpsons where they're filming the Fallout Boy and Radioactive Man thing, where the director's just there like, we need to get it again, and again and again, and again and again and again, and then Milhouse gets dragged away, and it kind of is that same thing at the moment in time, but, even though I did kind of think the MCU made the right decision in terms of not showing Uncle Ben's death, we've seen his death nearly as many times as we've seen the Waynes' death. I do think the Spider-Man films do kind of miss Uncle Ben in a way.
Yeah.
And I do think, we can all take the piss out of the idea of, them showing the parents dying over and over and over again, but it is a fundamental part of the character's history, and you can't really gloss over that. Okay, maybe you don't have to actually show the deaths, you can have it lingering in the distance. I believe Mask of the Fans has them, they basically had the Wayne portrait be the stand-in, they had the occasional flashback, but it wasn't a complete, this is the night, this is what happened. You need to know Batman was watching Zorro, and then his parents got because we already know that anyway. But I do think the idea of having almost the ghosts of his parents kind of lingering in Wayne Manor, and them being like a shadow or a burden on him, I think that's a really interesting thing they could do. And if they do it in that way, where the presence is alluded to quite heavily, but not in the terms of, we're just going to do the whole thing, and then Ma Wayne drops her pearls, and oh no, that kind of thing.
No, I fully agree. Obviously, you can't have Batman without such an integral part of his character and what forms him as a superhero and person. But yeah, at the same time, I don't want to see the pearls. I don't want to see them exiting into the alley of out of the theater.
Tossing young Bruce's head.
yeah.
Childhood window.
But I do want to see, a Batman who is properly haunted. And like you said, I like the idea of him living in kind of Wayne Manor and being surrounded by the ghost of his parents. I think that would be a really interesting way to have the thematic richness of that story without just going through the motions of the same beats that we've seen before, hopefully anyway.
Completely agree. But yeah, please let us know what you thought of our Pats' Batsuit down in the comments below. And also the theme, we forgot to mention the theme by Mark Giacchino. The theme by Mark Giacchino is amazing. I'm really here for it. It's very noir-y, and yeah, that's probably the thing that I was most excited about in the entire video was the theme, and I completely forgot to mention it. Anyway, whatever. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and then head back on over to whatculture.com for more news, lists, and articles like this every day. You can follow me on Twitter at Ewan Ruins Things.
You can follow me on Twitter at JoshBrew2Os.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.